Okay, so in this session today, I'm going to share with you exactly how we grew Divi from 0 to over 4 million on TikTok Shop. I'm going to detail the whole strategy, the playbook, the mistakes, and the key factors that turned it into a growth engine. If you're interested in leveraging the platform for your brand, then you're in the right place. But first, before I go into that, I'm going to break down in terms of why you should listen today. So I'm actually Wright. Like I say, I'm founder of Social Tail. We're a leading TikTok shop agency. I've been in the e-com space for over 14 years, helping brands scale, building systems that actually move the needle. We've driven over $50 million on TikTok Shop for brands, and we've built one of the most plugged-in social commerce teams right now. The thing is, most brands don't understand how to crack TikTok. They're still using the old playbooks that worked maybe 12 months ago, losing out on margins and just wasting time. So what I'm going to do today is show you exactly how to do it correctly. The great thing is we've been lucky to work with amazing brands, from challenging brands to unicorns and everything in between. And the goal is always the same. It's how we can take TikTok Shop from a test and turn it into a growth engine. That's what we've done for Divi, and that's what we're going to show you today. So now, let me show you exactly why this is worth your time. So, this talk is for you if you're a DTC founder or operator wondering if TikTok Shop is worth your time. Or maybe you've tried it so far and your results have just been far too scattered. Or you may be stuck sending out samples, hoping and seeing if it's going to work, but it's not. So the aim is, by the end of this talk, you will have the exact same formula that we're using day and day to scale brands from 0 to multi-million dollars on TikTok Shop. So before we get into it, I just want to show you this graph. This is how we worked with Divi and how we scaled them. So you can see at the beginning, it starts really slow. And the problem is, this is where a lot of brands lose traction and they decide to quit. But what happens is, once you get that momentum, it literally takes off just like a rocket. So this is what I'm going to break down, and it all started here. So to give you a bit of background, so Divi, they're a scalp and hair health care brand. They're founded by influencer Danny Austin, and it's built all around clean, clinical results for hair. So in May 2024, Divi had no presence on TikTok Shop. They were already killing it on Amazon, D2C, and in retail. But they wanted to see how they could crack the TikTok Shop code. So the great thing is, they weren't a new startup. They were an established player, and they wanted to make this channel work for them. They didn't want it to be a test. They wanted to see how they could make it work. So we went to the drawing boards, built a plan out, and guess what happened? We got it wrong, okay? So we launched with bundles, that classic DTC mindset. How can we get high AOV, right? But what we quickly found is that high price points on the platform doesn't work straight away if you've not got social proof on TikTok Shop from the start. So what happened between the start and July, we sent out over 230 units bundles to creators, and the traction was so diluted. But the one glimmer of hope was that we was also focusing on their hero product, which was the scalp serum. So we were sampling that, but it meant that we had to shift our focus. So we pivoted. And we zoomed out in terms of what we could do better. So we focused on these two products, the scalp serum, which is say $48, and the dry shampoo. So we did about 80% of our efforts on the scalp serum, 20% on the dry shampoo. And the reason why this worked well is because people always say, oh, you can't do high price product on TikTok Shop. This was a $48 product. We did some heavy discounting to begin with, and we got traction. And as you can see right there, we've done over 51,000 units sold on that SKU alone. So like I say, don't just think that you have to have a $20 or below product for it to work. You can do it with high ticket price points. So the thing is with TikTok Shop, scaling is a must. It's all about content volume. So from June to August, as you can see, we went from 294 pieces of content all the way up to 1,080 pieces. And the reason why is because every post is a chance to hit, whether it's finding a new hook, a new angle, a new concept. TikTok rewards velocity, so we gave it fuel. And then from then, we had that one breakout moment, which I feel like every brand has. I call it the creator flip. So this was the turning point. And what happened here was we worked with this creator called Catherine. We did pay her, but the great thing was she was a genuine fan. And she made one single video. It was authentic and it was relatable. As you can see there from the hook, how I helped my thinning hairline. She showed before and afters, and it worked. This one post alone generated 16,000 in GMV. That was 76% of sales for that week. So the thing is, like I said, TikTok is all about velocity, and this is what happened, because what you'll tend to see is that 90 to 95% of your GMV will be generated by under 10% of your actual creators. And if you want, the QR code is here if you want to scan that so you can actually see the full video, which has now had over 9 million views to date. All right. So this is then what happened after Catherine's post. We jumped from 6,000 in affiliate GMV all the way up to 648K. So that's a 957% increase in just 1 month. And like I say, this was now not a fluke. It was now we're building a system that we could easily repeat. And like I say, that post kicked off a wave. More creators wanted to jump in. They could see that this brand and product really did work. So we now started to have the momentum. And that's what the algorithm wants the most. So we weren't just now sending out samples. We were now on the platform and we're now starting to make noise. And then from then onwards, as you can see, these are some of the creators that we worked with. They started to generate views and they started to generate revenue. So we had creators who were doing 10K, 20K, all the way up to top creators doing 70K. That is the momentum that you can get on TikTok Shop. So the social proof, like I say, it created what I call like a ripple effect. And then before long, like I say, we started to now stop chasing creators, and now it's how can we manage all the inbound wave that we're starting to produce. So our affiliate strategy was now firing. And like I say, I'm pulling back the curtain on everything here. So we then started to do TikTok Lives. This is a message in our Slack, August 7th, 2024. So the first few lives, they were quiet. The third live, we did 4 units, okay? So as you know, it's not a massive win. But with that, we knew we could obviously build upon that. And at the time, Ashlyn, she was the social media manager at Divi. We then started to get hosts. We started to figure out what was the strategy and how we could turn every live into a performance. So fast forward 10 months later, one live drove 209K in GMV. Okay, that's over 10,000 units in 12 hours. 1.9 million impressions just from a live. So lives now became a massive growth engine for Divi. So we went from testing lives to now be able to build a repeatable, scalable sales machine. Remember the bundle I spoke about earlier? So now we had lives all locked in. The real question was how can we now start to get more GMV, higher AOV? So now we had the proof, we had the data, and we had the traction. So the original bundle there, we started to make sales from that. Then we started to create what I call creator bundles. So Catherine, who I showed you earlier, we created a bundle around her. Kelly, she was another creator, we created a bundle around her. And you see here, Danny, the founder, we created a bundle around her. These work really well on TikTok Shop right now. But like I say, early on, bundles tanked because there was no traction, no sales. Once you've got that traction, that's when you then want to start deploying the actual bundles. And then one of the biggest wins was moving conversation from TikTok Shop Seller Center over to a community. So we began with using WhatsApp. And the reason we moved from TikTok Shop Seller Center, because it feels not personalized, it's very transactional, and you can't really build any relationship with creators. So WhatsApp was the easy option because it just made sense, it was fast, and it's familiar to creators. But what happened is we started to hit limits really quickly. The problem was when new creators joined, there was no message history. So again, there was a lack of engagement and it didn't really work. So we needed a better scalable platform to do this on. So to solve this headache, we put it to a vote. So we actually asked the community. So we asked the community what they wanted. And as you can see here, most of them voted to move to Discord, over 80% of them. And the great thing with Discord, again, you want to take a screenshot of that, that's how we set up our community on Discord. It allowed us to have everything from announcements, we could put the briefs in. It's made it all simplified. So again, we now had an onboard system for creators to build engagement and allow them to be able to engage with one another, and nothing was missed. And then from then onwards, we launched a campaign that I believe changed everything. So now we've got Discord in place, we started to launch incentives. And the great thing with incentives, they work really well because you're only giving incentives if people are making sales. So we paid out over 80K to top creators on this, who generated 250K worth of GMV. So that right there was a massive 3x ROI. And when you think about it and you break it down, that's under $12 per piece of content. You can't get that from anywhere from a UGC standpoint. So again, this is getting content at scale. And then on top of that, it wasn't just about sales and GMV. That content volume meant also engagement, shares, and this was all building brand awareness around the brand. In that period of time, we had over 25 million views. So the more we kept rewarding creators, the more they kept posting. It's a simple formula, but it actually works. So there you have it. That's back to this here in terms of how we scaled from 0 all the way up to what you see today. So the next phase is what now? So what we're continuing to do is have monthly incentives. So rather than doing big incentives, we now do monthly ones to keep creators engaged, to keep them a part of the brand. We're also at a stage now figuring out how can we make the platform more profitable. So rather than using all the SKUs on the platform, focusing just on the ones that are going to drive actual profitability even higher. At the same time, what I say is affiliates plus ads and live, that is the social commerce funnel. And once you blend it all together, you build a brand with creators and community. It gives you a moat. And just to recap, so what didn't work, so you basically don't make these mistakes, don't launch the bundle straight away, okay? It's costly until you find something that is working. Then launch bundles later on. We did sampling without tracking. So again, we were sampling to everyone, kind of spray and pray approach and not really managing it. Once we started to do that, it changed the game completely. And like I say, waited to pay creators too late. Again, if we maybe paid them a little bit earlier, we might have seen a bit more traction quicker. And the thing is, every brand will make mistakes on TikTok Shop. That is just normal. But you don't want to keep making the expensive ones far too frequently. So if I was one of you sitting there right now and I was going to launch today on TikTok Shop, I would pick 1 to 2 hero SKUs. So with that, focus 80% on one and 20% on the other. Build all of your early content around that. If you can, depending on your budget, try and get to about 250 samples per week. As I mentioned, velocity is key on the platform, and make sure you're tracking every metric that you can. It takes work, but it sure is worth it. And like I say, invest in affiliates, whether you're paying them retainers, paying them to post, incentivizing them. They will always be your biggest driver. And I speak to many brands on a daily, weekly basis, and this is what most brands get wrong. They basically say, oh, we sent out 500 samples and we just hoped they would work. We don't want to pay creators yet because we don't think it's worth it. Our product's too premium for TikTok, or would wait for more data. These are just all excuses. If you work on TikTok Shop with a strategy, it can work for your brand. And the amazing thing is, TikTok Shop is not like any other platform, not like your Amazon, your Meta, your Google. It isn't just a sales channel. Once done right, it really is a growth engine. It's one that is scalable and profitable if you fully commit to it. Thank you all. If you want help building something like this inside your brand, come find me, and I'm happy to answer any questions.